Today we're going to talk about this Rinea paper. This is foil paper that apparently has been around for a long time in Europe. It's just kind of making its way over here. And it is, as I wipe my face, a double-sided craft paper. And Dana said, I saw your YouTube on this paper. Yeah, I did do a live demo at CHA because it was in the new product showcase. And it kind of made my head go like that. So I ran over, I got a quick demo, and then they sent me home with a few goodies to play with. So let's take a look at this pack. I'm going to show you that there are there's two different kinds of paper. One is considered what? Theme-based, and then the other is kind of just plain. So in this pack, which is called the Peacock Pack, is that what it's called? Variety Peacock. So first I'm going to show you this gorgeous, so you maybe can't see this, these are stars, printed with a star, and it is single-sided. So then there is this green. This is the most beautiful emerald green. It's so jewelly, and okay. Teal. Yeah, look at the teal, friends. You know I'm a tealaholic. And then here are the plain colors. Oh, you can't see them. Here are the plain versions. Flat, which means theoretically embossable. We'll be testing that. Teal, same three colors, but on the back it is gold. So in this is called a crafter's pack. There are 12 sheets. They're 6 by 12. If you want to take a screenshot, now's a great time. That way you have the information if you want to shop or remember it for later. So it's the new essential. It's crafting paper lined with vibrant shimmering foil on both sides in colors and textures. And again, this is the Peacock. So apparently, as I mentioned, this has been around in Europe for quite a while, and it's apparently in Germany. I was told by a friend of mine that this is like, they don't have construction paper in the schools. They have this stuff. It's considered a kid's art supply. But I just want to share with you, you can kind of see just in handling it, it has started to, like it holds what you do with it. So unlike a regular paper, which crumples and then, you know, it doesn't move back, this actually can be origamied. It will hold. Ooh, I just realized we have to try this with the cut, fold, tuck dies. So yeah, we're gonna play with those too. What color first? I think today we're gonna play with some purple. And I'm gonna put this over here, and I'm gonna put this over here, because I wanna play with both the two-sided and the single-sided. So let's just start. It says it's terrible. So, haha, get it? Terrible, terrible. All right, so this is the point where I turn the camera down and I speed things up so we can get through a lot. So first, I'm just giving it a little bit of a tear. And as you can see, it does have a white core, so you'll see a little bit of that deckling. But when you give it a nice firm crease, it actually holds it in a very wonderful way. So this is going to be great for any of you who like to do origami and such. So now the next thing I'm going to do is get out my Fiskars punch, and this is a big one, but you could use any punch. I chose it because it was a little more delicate. I just wanted to show you that yes, you can absolutely punch through this because it feels as thin as paper, thinner than like cardstock even, a little thicker than text weight but thinner than cardstock, and it has some nice body, and so it holds things well. So then I thought I'd just do a little bit of a rip here, and the next thing I'm going to do is try a little bit of this ghost ink with one of my stamp pads. So this ghost ink is what they demonstrated on my video from CHA, but you know, I'm trying it out myself, and it doesn't have instructions on it. So this is kind of a weird thing. The pack that they gave me doesn't tell me exactly what to do, so I'm kind of winging it, which of course means I'm gonna mess it up, just, you know, I'm preparing you all. So I stamp it, I pull it off, and what I decided to do was maybe try and speed dry it a little bit. I cut it up into smaller bits just because, that way I can, if I ruin one, I don't ruin it all. And I hit it with my heat gun. And what happened is that it actually kind of started to pucker a little bit. So this just means to me that this is a product that does not work well with higher heat. So I went ahead, I cut a little bit of chamois, and then I used some alcohol in a spritzer bottle to try and lift that up. And as you can see, what happened is I scrubbed a little too hard. The ink lifted, but so did the rest of the color. So what we learned from this is that you can absolutely just lift the color off with some alcohol if you wanted to. So with the second one, I just use a bit of dry paper towel, trying to keep moving the color around, finding a new dry spot. And the ghost ink basically melts the color off of the metallic paper and creates this kind of ghosted or a lifted effect. So I like it because it really is very crisp and very clean. So in my next little section here, what I'm doing is just going ahead and I'm crumpling the paper to kind of give it that effect. It reminds me a little bit of a gum wrapper. Just saying, because it holds the wrinkles in it. And now I'm going to throw a little bit of the ghost ink just on top, trying to hit the top edges. So again, I can lift that color off. And now that I know you don't need to add any alcohol, I'm just going to let it dry for a minute and then come back to it and see how it lifts. And again, once it's dry, it really only needs a paper towel. It doesn't have to be damp, and those colors will lift up. I also noticed though, just by crumpling, the purple on the other side does also start to lift. So it will kind of flake off. So here I'm using the Cut, Fold, Tuck Spellbinder die. I have to be very careful when I say that. And they're great dies. I did a whole video on those. They're really cool because they add dimension. The problem is when you're using cardstock or heavier paper is that the paper is so kind of bulky that it doesn't tuck well. So with the Renea metallic foil paper, I found that it really just holds all of those little peaks so well, and you get a really fantastic three-dimensional object. So next up, I just used an embossing folder. Now I did notice that it cracked the paper, and you could see those cracks. I was kind of pointing them out with my little pokey tool. See those little cracks in there? I see them. So it's not horrible, but it's just something to be aware of. So I take this one sample and I add some ghost ink on the top. By the way, I like the fact that the ghost ink goes on kind of that gray color because you can see exactly where you put it. And then in the meantime, I tried another little bit of ghost ink on this purple. I just wanted to try a different stamp with it to see if I could get the detail. And for some reason, it just didn't lift that much. Maybe it was because of the heat. So what I did is I took a little bit of that alcohol, put it on the cloth, and as you can see, I got it to kind of lift up. But you have to be super, super careful. Anytime you put alcohol on this product, it really does want to lift things up. So here I am. I used just a dry paper towel on the ghost ink. And oh gosh, it's a little out of screen, so it's really hard for you to see me burnishing it off, but it did a nice job of cleaning it up. So the bottom line, if you're going to use the ghost ink, really let it dry well, and then you may have to go back in even with a Q-tip to get all the bits off or give it a good burnish. It just looks really, really nice though. And the ghost ink gives you a lot more control than say trying to use like this Q-tip and the alcohol. So I did use it here to clean up the last little bits, but I just want to let you know you can use both, but really for the ghost ink to be precise, that's the way to go. Now, I came up with another option too. So it dawned on me that basically you need some kind of solvent to remove the ink. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually using StazOn stamp cleaner. Yep, the stuff that you use to clean up the messes from your solvent-based ink pads also works on this product. Ta-da! Surprise! Now, again, because it's in a dauber form, it's not going to be super exact, maybe not as exact as using the ghost ink, but it will remove the color in a pinch. And guess what else you can use? Alcohol markers. I know, right? So check this out. I took this little scrap here with an alcohol-based marker, and I found that just by doing a little bit of light scrubbing, now if I tried to write, it didn't work great, but if you give it just a little bit of a scrub, kind of like boop, 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 it comes off. So actually, if you go over it twice or 3 times, that is enough alcohol to lift that color off, and then you can burnish it. So it's another way of kind of getting that ghost ink effect if you don't want to actually invest in that product. Okay, so I decided to do another die cut. This is a really fine little detailed wing. I thought it was really pretty. So then I decided to try and maybe add another bit of coloring on top of it. So now that I know that a StazOn is actually going to lift the color off, I don't want to use that. What I want to use is a waterproof dye-based type ink. So I use the Archival inks, and as you can see, I just used a little bit of heat to set it, but oh my gosh, it's fantastic because what it does is it actually gives it more of a bronzy, authentic metal look. So if you were into any kind of steampunk action, I think that the Renea paper with some Archival ink on top of it is going to be your new best friend. I used to go ahead and put some little fairy wings on, and I'll show you those samples at the end. Okay, I guess this means this is officially the end because I'm going to show you my samples. So here's our pretty little fairy wing. It's a nice little addition in that die cut. In this next sample, I actually did the crumpled metal, and then the black is StazOn ink, which I put over the top, and then I die cut the sentiment out. And in this next one, it's in 3 different locations. So there's ghost ink on the purple script, the butterfly, and then the negative space of the die cut thank you. And here is that lovely cut, fold, tuck die showcased with embossed Rinea paper, and then just that torn piece that's folded over. And lastly, I just used it as straight up glittery paper. And I'm going to tell you what, I have to be honest, that's my favorite thing. I love the fact that it's a nice thin weight paper that's easy to use and adhere and to die cut, and it adds that kind of lovely metallic sheen. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. As always, have a crafty day.